Hey, this is Joe and Tom from Drunkards of the Sun.
Another fucking fun drunk episode coming to you courtesy of Drunkards of the Sun. And then your life's work could have been ahead of you. Tom and Joe from Drunkards of the Sun.
Join us every week on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Spotify.
Yeah. Podcast that's about anything and everything under the sun.
Check it out.
Joe's drunk.
Yeah, we both are fucking drunk.
Stop it. So.
You want to talk what? Talk about dinosaurs?
No, I didn't want to talk about dinosaurs. I said we could talk about it, but I was going to say we could talk about also movies. Have you watched any movies lately?
Not since
I watched
Suicide
two.
Squad.
I watched two last night, and both of them were disappointing as fuck.
What'd you
see?
see?
I watched a documentary today that blew my mind. But
let's hear all about it. What movie sucked?
Okay, the first movie I thought was going to be decent. Had Tom Hanks. It's called News of the World.
I've heard of
the Old West.
Yeah.
Right? It's Old West. It's after the Civil War. So the movie kicks off with him, like... This movie had so many fucking plot holes in it, in my opinion, and I'm about to spoil the fuck out of it.
Go for it.
So,
I don't give a fuck.
The first thing was, it shows Tom Hanks. He's a guy, he's an old captain of the Civil War. I can't remember which army. I want to say Yankee, but... They were in Texas, and they made Texas out like they were a bunch of racists. Just that's yeah. Just kicking this out. They made Texas out like you're racist. But this is also the racist shit that didn't make sense because Tom Hanks is a guy out of the Civil War. What he does is he goes to make a living. He goes to town, taking the news because not many people can read.
Yeah.
Right. So he reads them the news. He only reads them the bad shit. Just like the normal news.
Yeah, that's so accurate.
So it was accurate. But like after this first town, he runs across this fucked up, this wagon that's unhitched, fucked up. And he's like, what the fuck, right? So and he sees a black dude hanging from a tree.
Some Red Dead Redemption shit going on.
Oh yeah, but it's got around this, Texas don't want, only wants whites, right? I'm like, Jesus, they're making Texas out like racist fucks, right? So at the same time that he finds this corpse, he finds this little white girl who does not speak English but speaks native. And she's blonde with blue eyes, native shit on. And he's like, what the fuck? He finds these papers saying that she was a captive. And this is more fucked up. See, this shit gets fucked up. Because it said that her village that she was a part of, the natives, Comanches, got destroyed by fucking soldiers. And this kid, the black kid who was hanging from a tree, was taking her back to her home because she was abducted by the natives in a raid and fucking had proof that killed her family, and they took her for 6 years. And then when the fucking the U.S. Army stormed that village, they killed all of them. And they took her, and he was the one that's taking her back. Yeah. Right there, it's twisted. Yeah. Ain't it?
Yeah.
You got a fucking black guy hanging. Yeah. Who's transporting a white native who is...
White?
But she was a captive of the natives, and then became a native herself, right? Became a Comanche. Yeah. That's fucked up in itself, in my opinion. I'm like, shit! Well, then and then the army comes, and they were like, what the fuck's going on? And apparently, and I don't know this part of history, I don't know how true this is, but they always were looking for sidearms. And apparently, what I gathered from this movie was, after the Civil War, no southern states could have sidearms. They could only have fucking rabbit shot and bird shot, because that's what he had. He had that, and he was like, it's just bird shot. And they're like, it is, Captain! You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was like, hey, he's only hunting. And then he tells them about this white chick. He's like, I think he was transporting her black, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, well, it's up to you now. Good luck. And he's like, motherfuckers.
Sounds like an RPG. Continue.
Dude, it's exactly like an RPG. So he's like, fuck it. I'm going to go to the town. Because the soldiers told him to take her to this town. Yeah. And they'll help you out. And they will take her back to where she got to go. Yeah. So he does that. And they're looking at him like, you're retarded. We don't know what you're talking about. And the guy who handles native fucking things, native customs, I guess, he's in a reservation. He'll be gone for 3 months.
Okay.
So he's like, motherfucker, I gotta read people the news. So he knew some people in this one town that they went to, and they held her and blah, blah, blah. Well, some guys showed up, and they're like, hey, man, I heard you got that captive with ya, that girl, you know, and they wanted to take her from him.
Why?
Only thing I gathered was a sex slave trade. That was it, because they were like, because they kept looking at her like, she's fair-skinned, look at her. You know, that type of shit, right? So I'm like, what? Exactly.
How old is this kid?
Dude, 12 at the max.
Oh, goddamn.
But this is the West.
Yeah, I guess.
They were fucking each other at 9. You know what I mean? So, right there, I'm like, oh shit, here's the villains for the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? He fought him. She helped him. They killed him within 5 minutes of fighting him. And the movie's 2-hour movie. We're only half hour into the movie. So I'm like, okay, so this guy's going to survive and then track them down. No, he doesn't. He killed all 3 of those guys. They killed him. Like, you would thought that it would have been like, blam, blam, you kill 2 of them, and then you got to run from the other one. Yeah. And then, you got to fight him, and then blam, blam. No, not at all. He killed them right then and there. Yeah. I mean, it was clever, the way they did it. I give them that. And it was, the thing about this movie was, news of the world is, it was done very beautifully. And by that, I mean, like, the shots were fucking, the sound and everything was done beautiful. It's just story. The story itself was just a lot of holes in it, in my opinion, right? Mm-hmm. So, they defeat those 3 guys. And he's still like, I gotta get this. Because I
gotta do the news, people.
Well, he ends up deciding that he's gotta take her. And, you know, he's gonna do the right thing.
He's come to the RPG mission.
Yes. Yes. So then, when they're going through there, they meet a bunch of fucking guys, I guess rebels of some sort, and they're like, they blocked his road, and they're like, where are you going? And he's like, I'm trying to get through this town, in here, and he's like, we run this now. A bunch of rednecks, right? Yeah. Texas, and they were Texas rednecks, racist fucks, right? Yeah. So I'm like, why is everybody in Texas racist? It doesn't seem like that in the modern day. I don't know. So you think, okay, these are going to be the guys who pursued them for the next hour. Yeah. No. Because all these dudes, because he convinced them, he told them, like, I'm a news reader. Yeah. And they're like, well, read our news. And this guy had, like, this fake news pamphlet written out, like, because he scalped, like, all these natives. He fucking killed, like... This was even more fucked up about this scene. It was an Irish guy, right? And he's like, tell him about my exploits. And his exploits was, he was killing natives, beating slaves, killing blacks, you know, doing all this shit, this stereotypical racist shit. Yeah. And he had it in a pamphlet. Yeah. And they're like, read this, right? So he's like, okay, I'll read it. So he gets there and he heralds everyone to the town. And this town that they're working, it's like a mining town. So it's a mining town, and here's the thing. The guy who's wanting him to read the news about his exploits, about killing blacks, about killing natives, everybody in the crowd was black and Mexican.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yes! And there's a few white people in there. Yeah. And like, his exploits, again...
He thinks this is a good idea.
Yeah, he's like, tell him about this. I'm like, this makes no sense. Like, why would this guy want you to read this? These are his workers. Yeah. His workers were blacks, Mexicans, and Irish, right? Yeah. And his exploits were about killing all of them. Like, because it was about scalping Indians, killing blacks, killing Mexicans, all this shit, right? And I'm like, what sense does this make for you to want the news guy to read about killing everybody that's in the crowd? It made no sense.
Maybe he thought it was going to make him afraid.
Oh, it made no sense. Now, before I go even farther, there were some people that took a shine to Tom Hanks and the girl in that crowd. Like, there's a few people that worked for this guy. Like, this one guy in particular, he was just like a dopey fuck. This dopey fuck. He's like, yeah, I work for him. Right? Yeah. You need to know this, because what happens next, he's important. So he decides to not read the exploits and read I guess you would say uplifting stories.
Yeah.
to get these people to say "fuck you" and all this shit, right? And they're like, "God damn it!" So then he's got to flee. He starts fleeing the town because he's made a ruckus. Because he didn't do what the guy wanted him to do.
Yeah. So now
And all
he's
these
mad.
people are like, well, fuck this guy. Even though we were working for him. Makes no sense to me. So, it makes no sense to me because this guy employed these people.
Yeah.
And then he wants him to say how great he is for killing these type of people. Makes no sense,
Yeah,
right?
It doesn't. No.
So then they're trying to bust out of town. And guess who shows up? The guy who wants to read the newspaper. He's like, I told you to read what you guys said. You know, he's got his henchmen in there.
Oh, Jesus.
And you think
So
they're
it's
about
all-
to die.
It all hinges on reading
Then
his
all-
exploits.
Yeah, that's why he's mad at him.
God damn it.
You would have thought maybe there's some... The
There's a
native girl was a reward. Nope, not at all.
It's
Because the guys previous who was against them wanted the native girl.
Yeah.
But these people don't want nothing that.
He's just salty because his news wasn't read.
Yes.
That's... What the hell?
So then he's getting ready to shoot Tom Hanks, and then all of a sudden, blam, 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 shots ring out. Guess what? It's a dopey fuck. Like, hey, man, I didn't like him anyways. So then he's like, well, come with us. So then they start going. In the next scene, they leave the town. In the next scene, they're in an Oregon Trail style wagon trail going somewhere. And I'm like, how did they...
Get here.
How'd they come with them? So then they stop like halfway through the trail and it's like, this is your stop, so-and-so. And he's like, well, man, shit. I just had, and you think like this guy's going to be like, you think he's going to be trouble. Because the way he's act, you're like, he's going to be trouble. He's going to follow him. He's going to do all that. But before the end of the scene, he gives Tom Hanks his gun and says, have a good day. I'm like, what the fuck? It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense because the people you think that are going to be bad guys are not the bad guys.
Huh.
Long story short, I didn't finish the movie because it got to the end. Because finally he got to where he was taking this chick.
Yeah.
And the little girl, her family's dead because of the Comanches. They killed her, took her, right? And these were only living relatives of her. Relatives. I say that in a white way. Because she wanted to go with the natives. And there's like many scenes where she's like, I want to go with you. And like she tried to go with him. It was like, what the fuck? But I mean, it was your stereotypical bullshit. Like, where she was teaching him native words. He was teaching her in English. She remembered her German from where she was. So then he takes her to her living relatives. And they're assholes. All they want to do is just make her work in the field. And like, there's no time for... Because she likes stories. And he's a story maker.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, you got to read her stories. And they're like, stories? We ain't got time for this shit. You see these 9-year-olds working in the field? That's what she's going to do. You know? So he ends up taking her. And then they... Because I fell asleep.
Go off on their own
They go on their own adventure and become like this dynamic duo of storytelling. I was like, it had so much potential to be a good movie, but it didn't. It was so disappointing because, like I said, like if the whole movie was them trying to escape, the 3 dudes in the beginning that they killed within 15 minutes,
it would
have made more sense. But no, they just ran across people, just gave them trouble for no reason. It's like, I'm giving you trouble. It's like, why? Is it my skin? No. Is it because I have money? No. Is it because you want money? Fuck no. What is it for? Just to fuck this story up. That's what it was. I was like, Jesus Christ. So I watched it, and I like Tom Hanks. And he did good.
Yeah.
The story was trash. But the story could have been good. Like, when I was watching it, I'm like, is this a real story? Like, I don't know if this is based on reality or not.
I might have to check it out. I did see it. I kind of knew of it.
The news of the world.
News of the world.
I'm telling you, watch it, and you'll be confused. And you'll be like, this is stupid. And you'll be like, this should have happened here. I'm telling you, people, watch it.
What was the second one?
Oh, the second one was Malignant.
Oh, I've seen commercials for that too.
It looks amazing, don't it?
Looks pretty good, yeah.
Oh, it looks so good.
Isn't it?
It looks so good. It's directed by James Wan. The fucking cinematography, the visual effects is beautiful. The problem is, the story is retarded as fuck.
Isn't it like an imaginary villain?
Oh, if only that was true. No, what happens is, like, it makes you think that.
Yeah.
It makes you think, and this chick is like, turns out that after all these brutal, heinous murders go down, I mean, first it starts off fucked up, in my opinion, anyways. Because it starts off with this chick, she's pregnant, and she's, like, loving life. Then all of a sudden, she's, like, talking to her husband, and he just, like, flips a switch and beats her ass and, like, slams her head in the fucking wall and all this shit, and you're like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, I thought you guys were happy. Like, it turned out to be happy / violent real fast, right? And fucking she does this, and then a horror movie kicks in to where, and when I say horror movie, it's like you're sitting there unexpected, you're like, do-do-do-do-do, and all of a sudden, what's that? What is that? And all of a sudden, your neck is broke, right? Mm-hmm. Pretty much how that happens. It turns out that there's this fucking being named Gabriel, right? That's killing all these people. And they're like, wow, who is this Gabriel? And like, there's all these records on Gabriel.
I got an idea, but continue.
No, I'm gonna hear your idea.
I think
I'm gonna shit on it.
I think who Gabriel is the chick. Is Gabriel the chick?
You're so right. Because what ends up happening is Gabriel is not the chick, but he's a Siamese twin parasite that is on the back of her head, like he's from the back of her head.
You know what this is?
Dude.
This is fucking Voldemort in Harry Potter. One movie, he's on the back of some other dude's head. He wears a turban to cover up the dude's face.
I don't know what that is. But imagine you with me on your back going, and that's what it is. So at the beginning of the movie, like,
so it's like
at the beginning of the movie, there's a scientist, and they're like, he's unstable. And for some reason, he has psychic abilities. He's more enhanced than other people. Don't know why. He's just a Siamese fucking twin, right? And they cut him from her. And then they don't cut him completely away. They shove the rest of him in the back. They shove the rest of him in the back of her head and enclose it. And then close it on her head, right?
Why?
That's their option. That's the only option.
That's stupid. It sounds like that would have killed her.
Yes! Yes! The whole operation was stupid. Because it was like, it legit was like a little fucking fetus, like skeleton monster, like on the back of her head to her spine. And it's like,
and they cut the rest of it off but his head?
Well, they cut what they could from him. Like, they couldn't cut all of his head off and all of his brain because it would damage her, I guess.
Yeah.
So they shove it in her and sew her up. And she has no idea, and she, like, represses the memory, of course.
Yeah.
And then, like, then when the husband...
So there's no evidence, outward evidence.
But when the husband smashes her head, back of her head, she keeps bleeding. And then that's when Gabriel takes over. Ooh. So he comes out of her head and then twitches her body to where she's like this, backwards? And then and walking backwards. So you're watching her, and you see this, you see the CG, and you see the special effects. Like, there's times where Gabriel's fighting her. He's got his head's here with her hair.
Yeah.
And it's like this monster face.
Yeah.
But her face is back here. And he's like, it looks like so stupid. And it's so stupid. Because in the end, they're like, it would have been better if she was like imaginary friend that was a ghost that was killing people.
Okay.
But it wasn't. Like, but again, this is another movie where the cinematography and the shots and the movement of the camera were fucking beautiful. But the story was fucking terrible.
It sounds like the best.
Oh, it was so stupid, dude. It was so stupid because it's like...
How?
Yes! How? That's what I want to know.
What the fuck? fuck? So how old was she when she got this fetus monster removed from her body?
She was probably like 11, 12 when they got it removed. And then when the shit happened again...
Yeah, she was older.
She was like in her late 30s.
Yeah, I saw the commercials.
Yeah.
But when she was in her late 30s, was there any visible evidence of this creature?
Not until it came out. Because you couldn't see, because her hair.
Yeah.
Her hair covers the back of her head, right?
Yeah.
So when he comes out, her head, like, splits apart. And then that's when you looking at her here, but the head comes out back here, and then she flips on, you're like, and you're like, ow! Like this one scene. There's this one scene that I laughed my ass off on. Because what happened was she ended up, nobody believed her, and they thought she was killing the people. Yeah. Which, as you would. Because what sense does a monster growing out of the back of your head make? Just saying. So they threw her in jail. And while she was in jail, all these bitches were like being rude to her, being gangster bitches. And like beating her up and shit. And all of a sudden, it triggered the malignant tumor. Oh, and he like came apart and they're like, what the fuck? And she starts slaughtering them all. They're like, get us out of here. And of course, no one saves them. They're like, what are these convicts talking about? Fuck them. But it was stupid as fuck. And in fact,
how'd she go in jail after she murders everybody?
Well, this is the fucked up thing, and this is the thing that I don't agree with, because I've seen Siamese twins in real lives, and none of them have ESP or superhuman strength. But this thing, it could do whatever. It was fast. It was magical. So it was superhuman strength. So that's like, as soon as she flipped into him, she was like Superman. You know what I mean? Like snapping people in half.
The only thing missing is flight. Or could she fly?
No, I think flight was there. I think it was there. I could be wrong, but I think it's there. Oh, it's a terrible fucking movie, dude. Oh, it was so terrible.
I gotta watch this one. This one, between the two, I gotta watch it.
Oh, dude, you gotta watch *Malignant* because when I watched the preview, and I was like, this looks dope as fuck.
Yeah.
And then I watched it, and I'm like, what am I watching? I'm like, this is not dope as fuck. This is stupid as fuck. Because James Wan did The Conjuring and all that shit, and those are scary fucking movies. This was not. Again, laughable, like what we're doing tonight.
Oh my god!
Tell you, it's terrible.
Oh shit! I love
terrible
that
as fuck.
Shit.
And then today I watched this crazy ass documentary.
Oh yeah.
And it threw me for a loop. So this chick, I guess in the fucking 80s, 90s, came out about how she was a Holocaust survivor.
Yeah.
And she jetted through what it was. She was in Belgium and her parents got kidnapped, and fucking she's like, I'm gonna go find my parents.
Yeah.
And I'm Jewish. I'm Jew, and these Christians took me in and blah 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 like they would. So she jetted. She's like, fuck this, I'm going to find my parents. And they told her they were in Berlin.
Yeah.
So what does a 7-year-old kid do? Run off into the woods to try and get their parents, right? And I was like, that's sad. It's heartbreaking. Well, it turns out when she was in these woods, she got raised by wolves.
What?
Like these wolves like saved her, and like she ran
Jungle
with
Book
them.
shit going on?
Jungle Book shit. During Nazi invasion.
Jesus Christ.
Right?
So this is during the Nazis.
Yes.
Okay, and
yes.
she escapes the Nazis into the wolf pack.
She escaped the Holocaust, searching for her family, and she becomes part of a wolf pack.
Nice.
Right? So then she gets out, and the war's ended, and she grows up, and fucking she's living in fucking Massachusetts, and telling people this shit.
Does she have a kinship with wolves?
Yes.
Can she speak with them?
Well, there was a part in the documentary where she went into a wolf facility that raised wolves and shit, like a rescue, and they were like, "Don't go in there by yourself." And she was doing this for Oprah's book club, and Oprah's people were there, like video recording her. And this is after the book came out, and this is why they're trying to do this.
Yeah.
And this big bad wolf jumps on her and like doesn't bite her, but like puts his her head, and there's witnesses of this, and there's like witnesses, and he like does this shit with his mouth, and holds her, and then lets go, and then takes off. And they said when he took off, she went, "Aroo!" And then from the back of the cage, all the other wolves started going, started howling, right? So they're like, holy shit, she does got a connection.
Wow.
Holy shit. Well, after fucking she was trying to be on Oprah's, she had to sell this book, did the thing, and then she didn't want to go on Oprah's show after the producers had already been doing that recording.
Yeah. And
she like bowed out, and then she ended up suing the publisher of the book, who came to her. Because what triggered it was this publisher and a bunch of other people in a synagogue were listening to her testimony about how they wanted the fucking like we can make this into something, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, yeah, let's do it, and then they did that shit, and then she had cold feet and was like, no. She backed out. Well, then after she backed out, she sued the publisher, got all her rights back, her copyrights, redid her own book, went fucking global, international. It's this fucking Nazi survivor who raised by wolves, right?
Jesus Christ.
Sounds fucked up, right? They made a movie about it in the in the 90s. Yeah, I guess.
What's it called?
It's a foreign movie. It was in French.
Okay. Right.
So it was Saved by Wolves or some shit like that.
But in French.
In French.
Yeah.
So then she sued the publisher to get her rights back, and like the settlement was like $22.5 million.
Jesus.
Well, all the Oprah shit and all that shit failed because the one broad didn't, not the publisher, but the author didn't want to go with it. So none of that shit came to fruition. So once she fucking won the legal dispute, she took her own book and got it published and started doing all this. Mm-hmm. So the lady who was the original publisher was like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? So she starts, and it's like, is this really true? And like, for some reason, something, I can't remember what triggered her, but something was like, something's not right here, right? So they started investigating.
Oh, shit.
And through many investigations, it turned out...
She was full of shit?
Full of shit.
How?
Turned out she was from Brussels.
Yeah.
But she was never a Jew. She was not a Jewish person.
Oh, jeez.
And her dad was a freedom fighter for the Belgian army. And he ended up becoming a traitor because he got tortured and gave up all his people. So she proved it. And then disproved her shit. Oh, it was fucking wild, dude.
That is wild.
And this is after she made millions.
Yeah.
And after she did book tours.
Wow.
After she made a movie about it.
So that was all
fabricated.
Because she didn't want to get found out. Probably why she backed out of those different things.
By the end of the documentary, it turns out that she was just, in order to deal with her childhood, she created, like she was delusional. She was delusional. So she would create this world and other worlds. And she believed that she was
doing that shit.
Really there. Huh. But then they disavowed that as well. They were like, well, if she was. And it's like, I don't know what to believe.
That's wild.
Dude, it's called Misha and the Wolves.
Nice.
It's on Netflix.
Nice. I gotta check that. That sounds really good.
Dude, it was really good.
Fucking good.
Hour and a half, worth your time.
Nice.
I'm gonna tell you what, it was way better than the last two movies I watched. And that was like 4 hours worth of shit. I was watching those movies for like 4 hours. They all salty as fuck.
I saw a documentary very similar to that, where this kid went missing. I don't know if he was kidnapped or what. And he was in another country. And I think he was from America. I don't know where he's from. But anyways, this one guy impersonated him. The documentary is called Imposter or something like that. And the family accepted this foreign kid as their kid because he was acting like it. He was like, he was trying to fit in. He just check it out. It's been a while since I saw it.
What is it?
It's called
Imposter.
Imposter. It's
on Netflix?
I think it's on Netflix. But it's been a grip, so I don't know if it's still out or not. But it's called Imposter.
Sure it is.
And it's just all about this guy that acted like somebody's missing kid and got into their family and lived with them for like a while.
That's so crazy. It's almost like the movie with Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, The Changeling.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's what that was about.
It's very similar to that story, but it's like modern. It's like real.
Yeah.
And it turned out he was acting like he was younger than he was. Like he looked like he was younger, but he was like way older than he. what the kid would have been and shit.
Oh, wow.
And he was just, I don't know, he just impersonated. But I don't have a lot of information on that one. You can check it out. It's called Imposter. But
It's on Netflix.
Netflix, check it out. Again, this is Drunk of the Sun. Podcast about anything and everything under the sun. Check us out weekly.
On YouTube,
Instagram,
Spotify,
Facebook.
Anchor.
Hell yeah. That's it for tonight, folks.
Peace, bitches.
See you later.
Thanks for tuning in to Drunk of the Sun. This is Joe and Tom.
Thanks for watching. Thanks to everybody. Like and subscribe.
Thank you all for subscribing and liking from Drunk on the Sun, the podcast about everything and anything under the sun.
So check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Instagram. We're posting new shit every week.
See ya.